yourself off and try again, try again.
Good morning. Welcome to the Portal Podcast with Bob Colbert. I'm your host, Bob Colbert. As you can see, we are journeying to Mars. That's our new series. We've moved far from ancient Rome and in time and space. So we're looking at slightly into the future now. But not far, maybe 5 years or so into the future, and from where we are today. But yeah, so what we're going to be doing is for the next month or two or three, depends on how long this goes. We're going to be looking at a human colonization of Mars. Let's call it Mars Genesis colony. And so how are we going to get there? We're going to get there on the Starship, not the Starship Enterprise, but the SpaceX Starship. So I generated a video a little while back, kind of capturing what it would look like on an initial early mission of Mars colonization. And so there, the goal, obviously, in the first go-around of missions, probably is just to establish a human footprint on Mars with a low number of astronauts, maybe multi-country, obviously. And so it'll be all about survival, trying to find the best place to establish a colony. Yeah. So let's start forward and let's go on to the Starship. Kind of give you a little tour of that. Let's see. There we go. So this would be kind of the notional passenger compartment if they had about 40 astronauts or passengers that are paying tickets, sort of like in an airline of today. Of course, it wouldn't quite look like this with the windows and stuff. These can be video generated, by the way. In the future, our aircraft may not have windows, but may have video windows that you can look out that they have cameras on, so it'd be very similar to this. So this will give you a notional look of what they would, how the ship would be facing in there. And let's see, let's go to the flight deck, and this would be the flight deck of the Starship. Now remember, this is a SpaceX Starship that's currently being developed. It's in prototype. We're fixing to come up on another flight, Flight 4, IFT Flight 4 in Boca Chica, Texas. Should be in early June. I think notionally it's set for June 5th. May move, a week later or so, but it's kind of anticipated early June. So the goal there, we've had 3 subsequent flights before. All of them resulted in some level of failures, where the Starship and the booster were lost. But it is a prototype, it's a test vehicle. There are no astronauts on it. So the goal is to progress the Starship's development into the mission profile. You have a launch, you want to clear the tower, then you want to get it through max Q, which maximum dynamic pressure. That's the largest dynamic stress that you would see on the vehicle during its ascent to orbit. Then you want to get into orbit, and then you want to do some things in orbit, and then you have to re-enter the atmosphere where there's an extreme heating event, plasma heating, and usually it will occur on the bottom side where there's thermal protection tiles, they call it the windward side, where it's coming in a very high angle of attack into the atmosphere of the host planet, in this case Mars, and you're going to be coming in hot and very fast, and so it'll build up quite a bit of plasma heating that'll heat up the ship 3,000 degrees, very hot. Could be more, somewhere in there. And then the key here is to maintain stability, aerodynamic stability, keep the ship from rolling, because only the bottom half is insulated or with protection tiles, not the leeward side or the top side. It's generally metal or maybe some other thermal protection type material. In this case, it's stainless steel. So if you're rolling in this mode here while re-entering, well, you're not going to survive. So that's kind of where we are today. IFT4s hopefully will get it further into the re-entry profile, and then hopefully capture a simulated landing into the ocean, Indian Ocean. And they're pretending that they're going to be captured on the Megazilla tower, that will eventually, the starships will come back at Boca Chica and also Cape Kennedy, Florida. So yeah, that's kind of the scenario. I created a video, kind of give you an indication. We'll do that video. But before we do it, because it's pretty lengthy, we'll save it toward the middle to last. So let's look at some Earth comparisons and stuff. So Earth is much bigger than Mars, even though it's not shown here. Mars is smaller. It only has about 0.375 Gs of gravity. Of course, Earth has 1 G. These are all of the elements that make up the atmosphere of Earth, and oxygen and nitrogen being predominant. On the Mars atmosphere on the left there, you have nitrogen, but in very low percentage. On Earth it's 78%. On Mars it's almost 2%. And then you got argon and no oxygen to speak of, just trace amounts. So you got a lot of carbon dioxide. It's 96% carbon dioxide. So if we could break those chemical bonds and get the oxygen in the atmosphere and kind of hold it and thicken up the atmosphere, maybe we could have some success at terraforming Mars. I think that's the long-term goal. Probably take let's just say 100 to 1,000 years to maybe accomplish that, and we'll have to heat it up. I mean, the planet. So that's a very long, uh, heavy lift for humans today to be able to control a planet's atmosphere and make it habitable. But we'll try, I'm sure. Some of the credits in my lifetime, I'll start back in the beginning. So Werner von Braun, he created Saturn V rocket to men to the moon, and so we I think had 17 Apollo launches on there, and when the Apollo program was canceled, what was going to be the follow-on program, where Werner von Braun had advocated going to Mars and had created a space concept to do that. Ultimately, President Nixon, Richard M. Nixon, decided to build the space shuttle, and that's what we did. So we've spent the remainder of the time from the Apollo days, we're in 50 years now, just kind of low Earth orbit with shuttle kind of things, or a space station, which is where we are today. So now with the Artemis program, we're trying to venture to go back to the moon with the long-term goal to go to Mars. Of course, Elon Musk with SpaceX Starship wants to kind of let's go on to Mars. So, but there is some value to establish some kind of a research station or initial human colonization on the moon, because the distance to the moon is like 250,000 miles, and I believe Mars is around 39 million miles at its shortest point, and can go, I think, as far as 130 million miles away if it's on the other side of the sun from the Earth. So remember, we're in orbit. Earth, is in third spot. Mars, fourth spot. So yeah, so it takes a while. So about every 2 years is an optimum time where humans can launch vehicles to Mars, and it can, depending on the ISP, specific impulse of efficiency of the rocket engines or the power plant or propulsion system, it can take anywhere from say 6-7 months to 9 or 10 months to get to Mars with current day chemical propulsion. There is some work with NASA and on the military side, DARPA, to create a nuclear thermal rocket that would kind of double, I believe, the ISP, kind of get it down to about 4 months, 3-4 months for a trip to Mars. Of course, I think in 2027, they're supposed to do a small scale demo of that rocket engine in orbit. So hopefully that'll be successful, and we can maybe design a ship with nuclear thermal rocketry instead of the chemical rocketry. So yeah, that's kind of what we're doing. And again, Werner von Braun was kind of the initial person that excuse me, had a lot of sway, a lot of power to influence and stuff. Another person here shown Mars Society was Dr. Robert Zubrin. He is the founder of the Mars Society, and he advocated Mars exploration and colonization over a long period of time, almost a full career, probably 40 years, to do Mars. He's come with several concepts that have been fully, I think, explored by NASA primarily, and yeah, so there may be elements of his vision. Another visionary is Elon Musk. So, traditionally, space explorations has been a very expensive, and it still is a very expensive proposition. So, usually, only governments and can afford to do that. In our case, NASA is the organization that primarily does space travel, civilian space travel and exploration of the solar system. They've done a great job. But again, if you look at the price tag of Artemis, $4.5 billion a mission, and you can see right away that you're only going to have maybe one mission a year, and or every 2 years or whatever. So that's going to be a slow way to get to Mars. We'll get to Mars, but it'd be very long term. So SpaceX is kind of wanting to send 1,000 starships over a Mars crossing every 2 years and establish a colony on Mars and a city on Mars. I believe of 1 million people, something like that, on Mars, and try to do it maybe in 50 years stuff, but at least getting a far cry more further developed. So I think what will happen will be a combination of things. Elon Musk is a billionaire, has a lot of money. He's invested a lot of money. He's created the Starship program, and NASA has contracted with him to provide a Starship human lander for the moon. So we also have astronauts going up on the Crew Dragon to the space station. So he's intricately involved in the space program of human space program of today, and doing a magnificent job. So Crew Dragon's doing great. Now, what we're seeing is NASA partnering because of cost, schedule, and NASA US can't do everything, so they're kind of getting on the right track to get commercial enterprises, whether it be billionaires or corporations, or let's just call it private interests, private industry involved to help partner with NASA to establish colonies on the moon as well as Mars, and out into the asteroid belt or further out in the solar system. So I think ultimately that's kind of the way it will go. I think NASA will slowly diminish its ownership of hardware and rely, just give the requirements, the goals, the missions, and kind of what we want to do, how we want to progress, and then let the private companies do it. Get it done. Hopefully cheaper and faster, maybe better. Hopefully. So yeah. So Robert Zubrin was a great advocate. Carl Sagan, a cosmologist, also a great advocate. And I'm sure there are thousands of engineers, even like myself. I'm an aerospace engineer, worked at NASA for 30 years. So now with Lockheed Martin Skunk Works in California. So yeah, there's thousands of people like me that just earnestly want to go to Mars. I certainly do. So I'm praising and pushing for the SpaceX to succeed and get humans on Mars as quick as possible, but safely, and you know, getting it done. So, all right, let's see. So, what I want to do now is take you to the movie because we're starting to get into the time slot. Now, this is kind of a lengthy video segment, but I think you'll enjoy it. It purports to show establishing footprint on Mars and the initial colonization. So I hope you enjoy it. See you on the other side. It's probably about 12 minutes long or so. So here we go. See you on the other side.
Apollo 17 astronauts spend their last day on the surface of the moon.
This is Gene, and I'm on the surface. And as I take man's last step from the surface, back home for some time to come, but we believe not too long into the future, I'd like to just say what I believe history will record. That America's challenge of today has forged man's destiny of tomorrow. And as we leave the moon at Tars Litro, we leave as we came. And God willing,
as we shall return. With peace and hope for all mankind. The words of Gene Cernan, the last human to walk on the moon. Do you think he knew he was going to walk on the moon when he was a child? Did Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin know they would change history when they were 18 years old? The first people to set foot on Mars, to stand in starlight on another world. They may pass you on the street. They may be in college or high school. Maybe they're your friends, co-workers, maybe your children. Only time will tell. As we, as a species, spread our wings and push the boundaries of what we call home.
Covering the week's top tech stories with a slight Linux bias.
Having completed its first human launch, SpaceX founder and CEO Elon Musk says the company is now focusing on developing its next generation spacecraft, Starship. A couple weeks back, NASA and SpaceX successfully launched astronauts from U.S. soil for the first time in almost a decade. According to an internal email sent to staff, Musk said that the development on Starship is now the primary focus for the company, alongside the safe return of the Crew Dragon from the International Space Station. Starship was unveiled last September and is designed to carry a crew and cargo to the Moon, Mars, or anywhere else in the solar system, according to the billionaire. Musk's intention is to make the spaceflight vehicles as reusable as planes. 4 years ago, the billionaire outlined his vision of building a colony on Mars in our lifetimes, with the first rocket propelling humans to the Red Planet by 2025. For many years, the company used an image of the Martian surface being terraformed, turned Earth-like, in its promotional material. However, a NASA-sponsored study published in 2018 dismissed these plans as impossible with today's technology. Last year, Musk tweeted he believed it was possible to make a self-sustaining city on Mars by 2050 if we start in 5 years. According to SpaceX's most recent detailed plans published in 2016, there are 2 phases for the first human transmissions as part of a programming to colonize Mars. The first will take place in 2022 when at least 2 Starship rockets will land on Mars. These will be unmanned spacecraft but containing drones and robots which will confirm whether there are sufficient resources of water on the planet and check for any geographic risks. The second phase will start in 2024 when another pair of Starship spacecraft will land on Mars with the first astronauts. These spacecraft will bring equipment and supplies as well as a number of production plants for ongoing life on the planet, as well as develop a base of operations.
We were talking, well, we
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. I enjoyed making it. So over the Journey to Mars series, we'll be exploring in quite excruciating detail what it takes to establish a colony on Mars. Now, there's a movie series on Netflix called Mars. I invite you to watch that. You'll get kind of the really good feel for what it takes to establish a colony on Mars there, and all of the successes and travails that they had in there. It's a 2 seasons documentary by National Geographic called Mars. So please look at that. I'm kind of following that outline, the experiences that they had, because they did a really good job, excellent job of detailing out kind of the things that will probably happen in any kind of a journey to Mars. So yeah, so we're at 33 minutes, so I'm going to call it for this week for the Portal Podcast. I'm your host, Bob Colbert. Join us next week, next Saturday. Hope you have a great Saturday. We had Memorial Day last week, so we're kind of starting to, or is it this week? I think it's this week. Sorry. Sorry. This week. So we're starting the summer period. So y'all have a great Saturday. We'll catch you next week on the Portal Podcast. We'll continue our journey to Mars colonization. Y'all be good. See you later, my friends. Take care. Whoops. I'm going to go ahead and
What you do, you into me, but I can't let it go so easily. Until I see what it could be eternity or just a week. But yeah, our chemistry is off the chain. It's perfect now, but will it change? This ain't a yes, this ain't a no. Just do your thing, we'll see how it go. Oh, rush it, don't succeed. Yeah, dust yourself off and try again. Can dust it off and try again, try again.